What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Powerhouse Mentality Podcast. I am your host. I am Caitlin Kenneth Smith, and today's episode of the podcast is going to be a special one. So, welcome to your Sustainable Fat Loss Journey series, and it's going to be episode 1. And the reason why I wanted to create this series is because right now, January 21st, there are a lot of people who have recently started their fitness journey. And there are a lot of people in the world, whether it be January or not, who continue to repeat the cycle, or they feel like they stay stuck, where they try to lose weight or they try to improve their health, and then they just see progress go backwards, and they are really good at losing weight or really good at improving their health for a period of time, but they can't sustain it. And there are so many people on social media who are telling you what not to do and telling you don't do this, don't do that, don't eat that, to the point where it's so fucking confusing that most people don't even take action. So I want to help you start your sustainable fat loss journey. And I'm going to explain what that means right here. But first, I want you guys to join, and I want you to commit, and I want you to trust this process. For a lot of people, this is going to be very, very different from what you've ever done in the past when it comes to improving your health or losing weight. But what you've done in the past hasn't worked. Because if it worked, then you would have sustained the progress that you saw. People say, keto worked for me, carnivore worked for me. No, it didn't. If you didn't sustain it, it didn't work. You lost the weight, you couldn't sustain it, and then you gained it all back. Thus, it didn't work. So many people, like I said, are really good at losing weight, but they suck at keeping it off. And I help my clients lose body fat, build muscle, keep it off, and build a lifestyle through sustainability, because nobody wants to work hard to earn results just to have those results taken away from you and then have to work hard again. Eventually it gets exhausting and you don't want to do it anymore. So this is exactly what I'm going to teach you how to do sustainable on this podcast series. And a new episode is going to drop every single Monday, so it's like our weekly check-in, similar to if you were working with me one-on-one as a coach and a client. The only difference is that obviously health and fitness isn't black and white, so context is going to matter for each individual. So while these general recommendations will help significantly improve your circumstances and really help you move the needle, there is going to be an individual aspect that goes into this. So I'm a coach, I work with, and I talk to my clients every single day, and I help them on their journey. I've been doing this for 12 years, in person for the majority of my career, and then online for the last 3 years. So I'm not just a social media robot spewing out information. I'm somebody who has worked with people long enough to know how to help people earn results. I have degrees, I have educational certifications, I have a lot of different credentials to back me up, but the most important thing is that I work with human beings. That's why I'm opening up coaching to 5 new people each month, and it's capped at 5 for a reason. I want to be able to give each and every one of those 5 people the absolute best of me, and the best experience and the best chance at them earning results. Now, you'll work with me for longer than a month, because a month is not long enough for you to earn the results and build the habits that you need to sustain this. There are phases that go into my coaching, right? There's a framework that makes it work. Now, I'm offering something extremely special for you guys, my listeners, and anybody who you think needs it, you can share it with them. Because I know that you guys who are listening to the podcast, you're doing it because you want to become a better version of yourself. And I know that if you share it with people, you're sharing it because you know that they need help too. And effort matters. And I respect the hell out of effort and intent. So, for the 5 people that I take on in February, I will offer them a free month, 100% free month of coaching, like one-on-one, full experience. All you have to do is apply, and how you do that, follow the instructions. You email me. My email is down in the show notes always. Tell me your name, your phone number, and why you think I should select you as one of the 5 people that should get a free month of coaching. That free month of coaching will start February 1st. So you have until the 27th of January to apply. So this podcast goes out on the 22nd. I'm giving you 5 days to take action and apply. I'm only selecting 5 people. And if you're not selected, I will put you on a waiting list. However, that does not guarantee. So if you're serious about taking action and really improving your circumstances and you want this opportunity, what's the worst that could happen if you try? Now, with that all being said, guys, let's get into week 1 of your Sustainable Fat Loss Journey series. All right, so let's talk about the tools that you will need along this sustainable fat loss journey. Because you're going to need tools. Without tools, you're not going to be able to do this as efficiently as possible. And I want to give you absolutely everything that you need in order to see the results that you are after. Because I don't want you to just do work and it not work because you didn't start off with the right foundation. So the 3 things that you absolutely must have. Actually, there are 4. And the 4th one is really important. All right, and I'm going to name them out. And then I'm going to break down why each one of these things is so important for your fat loss journey. Not just for your fat loss journey, for your sustainable fat loss journey. Important. All right, you need a food scale, a digital food scale. You need tape measurement. You need an app for tracking your food. And you need a positive fucking attitude. All right. Let's get into number 1, a food scale, and a digital food scale because it makes it just so much easier. Please do not get one of those old school ones that like you have to perfectly balance it out. That's just going to make things way more complicated than it needs to be. And complexity is the enemy of success. So we want to keep things here as simple as possible. Now, why do you need a food scale? Simply put, you can't manage what you don't measure, and what gets measured can be managed. The number one thing with fat loss, in order to lose fat, in order to lose weight, you need to be in a calorie deficit, meaning that you are taking in less calories than you are expending or burning off. Fat loss and weight loss cannot occur without a calorie deficit. So in order for you to know if you're in a calorie deficit, you need to understand and manage how many calories you are consuming. And the only way to accurately do this is by weighing your food, thus the food scale. Now, estimating portions is going to be extremely inaccurate because most people severely underestimate portions. There are so many research studies and surveys to support this, and it happens for a few different reasons that I think we can all understand and relate to. The first thing being portion size perception. People just have a difficult time estimating the size of food portions because they don't have the education or the experience to know what a real serving size is. And that matters, right? If you think you're eating 4 ounces of chicken, but it's actually 2 ounces or it's actually 10 ounces, that can really cause your results to not happen because you're severely inaccurate. Another thing is a lot of people just have selective memory. So a lot of people forget or they're not fully aware of the things they're consuming throughout the day. Like there are a lot of times where, I'll be talking to a client and have them break down a full day of eating and they'll tell me like their 3 main meals. However, when I ask like, is that it? They're like, oh wait, but I had a handful of almonds and I had some Hershey Kisses off my coworker's desk and then I had that coffee from Dunkin' in the morning. A lot of people just don't necessarily fully remember everything that they consume throughout the day unless they're aware of it. And if you're tracking and you're weighing your food, you become much more aware of it. Now, does it take time to adapt to this and get used to it? Absolutely. But over time, you get used to it. And then a lot of people, again, this kind of goes along the same line, is that they misreport ingredients. So a lot of times you'll prepare a meal and you forget to track things or think about things like butter or oil or different condiments that have calories in it. So it's important with tracking your food that you're weighing everything out with a food scale. Anything that has calories, you need to weigh out and track and manage. That includes coffees that have calories, right? Like if you're putting creamer in it, if you're getting lattes, those add up fast. condiments that have calories. Like, you don't need to track your mustard, but if you're having barbecue sauce or Chick-fil-A sauce has 140 calories per little container. So it's important to track it. You can have it, but you have to manage it. That's it. And then a lot of people are going to ask the question, well, what about measuring cups and spoons? They're better than estimating. However, they're also going to leave some room for error. Plus, to be honest, I've been tracking my macros for over 10 years, and the food scale is just so much easier. You can get one on Amazon for like 10 or 15 bucks. I'll put the one that I actually use in the show notes. I've had it for probably 6 years, and it just makes it so much easier. It takes literally 30 seconds out of your meal to throw everything into a bowl and just track it and manage it. Now, I know some people might have a little bit of pushback on this. So I want to answer some questions that I know you probably are going on in your head. Well, number one, can you see results without tracking your food? Absolutely, you can. Now, a lot of people say that tracking food is hard and they can't do that. And I want to challenge that because you can, and perspective matters. Tracking macros is literally a roadmap to your goals with less distractions. So like I said, you can see results without tracking your food, but it requires much more time and much more discipline. Most people just don't have a lot of time and they struggle with being disciplined, so tracking macros helps. All right, it literally takes all of the doubt out of it. And I know for myself at least, and for my clients, I don't want there to be any doubt on the table when it comes to you earning your results because you're working hard. Now, the next question that I know somebody's going to ask, well, do I have to track my food forever? Do I have to wait out forever? I don't want to do that. If you want to do that, you absolutely can. It's your life. But no, you don't have to, and you shouldn't feel the need to. Over time, you're going to build habits, and you're going to be able to understand portions, and you're going to learn more, and you're going to understand how much you need to maintain your results. And that's when you start moving to tracking habits and eating intuitively. But it does take time to get there. You need to learn first. And for me personally, I just like the accuracy of tracking my food. I like to control my results, so I stick to it. Now, the second tool that I mentioned was tape measurement. People are like, tape measurement, that's interesting. And it's interesting that I didn't say a body weight scale. Now, the scale is usually the tool that most people gravitate towards, which is fine, but the scale doesn't tell the whole story. And I've seen the scale literally destroy people mentally, but also throw them off of their process. Right? The scale can fluctuate for so many different reasons. You had a bad night of sleep, the scale might be up. You had a little bit more sodium the day before, scale might be up. You had a little bit more fiber the day before, scale's probably up. Didn't poop, scale's up. Had a stressful workout and you're kind of sore, you have a little bit of inflammation and the scale's probably up. And when that scale fluctuates, a lot of people subjectively mess themselves up. And it causes people to waver from their process. So they might be doing really, really well, eating to hit their macros, working out every day, keeping the commitments they make to themselves. And then the scale's up because they had a shitty night of sleep. So then they decide that day they're going to cut their calories and do excessive amounts of cardio, which derails them. They were doing great, and they derailed themselves by overcorrecting. And this is why I like tape measurement, because tape measurement is helpful because if the scale doesn't move, but your waist circumference decreases, that generally means that you're losing body fat, and the scale may not go down because you're also building lean muscle, which is exactly what you want. Lean muscle is going to speed up your metabolic rate. You're going to burn more calories at rest, and this is how we actually sustain fat loss. When you build muscle, it makes fat loss so much easier. It's literally the hack for fat loss. Now, the third thing I said, the third tool, was a macro tracking app. Because again, we want to make this as easy as possible for you. If it's too challenging, you're not going to be able to adhere to it or sustain it. Pen and paper tracking of macros is a thing of the past. Back when I first started tracking macros, actually, that's what we did. We took out our pen, we took out our paper, or a notebook. Obviously, we didn't just carry around paper. Took out our notebook. We tracked our day. We went on to Google to search exactly how many calories and carbs and fats and proteins were in things if they didn't have nutrition labels, and it was miserable. Like, when MyFitnessPal came out, it was like a revolutionary tool for people like me, and it saved so much time. So I used MyFitnessPal. It's a macro tracking app for 6 years, and it's a great tool. But back in 2018, I actually switched over to the First Form app, and I continue to go back to that app. I've never actually wavered from it since I started using it, because they continue to add so many different features to this app that literally takes it beyond any other macro tracking app I have ever used. There's nutrition, workouts, you take your photos, weigh-ins, measurements, you get to track your progress. You even get access to a one-on-one advisor, like a real human being, not an AI robot. So every single time you actually receive a message in the app, it's from a real human being who has been through their own journey, but is also certified and educated to help you through yours. They also do educational live streams Monday through Friday on different topics to teach you all about nutrition, fitness, and mindset. So they help you along the journey so much. It's not just a macro tracking app. And I use this app every single day for myself and my client to do it too. And I'm also an advisor in the app. So you can download the app with the link in the show notes. And my advisor name is going to be there too, so I can actually help and guide you through the process. And the last tool is a positive fucking attitude. Now, why do you need a positive fucking attitude? Now, I think this one is pretty obvious, but let me explain it a little bit. There are going to be times along this journey where you doubt yourself, where you want to quit, or when you think it's not working. But I promise you, if you follow this process, it will work. You just have to be patient. You didn't get to the point you are now in 2 weeks, or even 2 months, I'm assuming. So it won't take you 2 weeks or 2 months for you to get to your goal. You have to be patient. You have to trust the process. Ask for help, ask questions, and please, 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 go all in on yourself. Keep the commitments that you make to yourself. All right, so now you have all 4 of your tools that you need to start this journey. Food scale, tape measurement, macro tracking app, and of course, a positive fucking attitude. So now, how do you execute in week 1? Now, there are going to be 3 things that we focus on in week 1. And these 3 things go together, so it's almost like one thing, but with 3 little parts to it. And I'm going to explain each and every part so you understand fully why we're doing this. And I'm going to help and give you general guidelines to what you can start implementing when it comes to a number. All right, so I'm going to break these down separately, so that way we can take it one at a time. Now, remember when we first started the podcast and you started listening, and I said the number one thing that you need in order to lose weight is a calorie deficit. So like I said, the only way to lose fat, it doesn't matter what you do. If you do keto, if you do carnivore, if you do intermittent fasting, vegan, it doesn't matter what you do. The only way to be able to lose fat is to be in a calorie deficit. This doesn't mean you're starving yourself. Remember, sustainable. Starving yourself is not sustainable. If you have too big of a calorie deficit, you're not able to sustain it. And the goal here, all right, and I want you to remember this is a writer-downer, as Alex Hormozy would say. The goal here is not to eat as little as possible to lose weight as fast as possible, all right? The goal is to eat as much as possible to be able to lose weight as sustainably as possible. So now you might be asking, okay, calorie deficit, how the hell do I even understand or begin to know what number that looks like? Because a lot of people will automatically be like, oh, okay, I'll eat like 1,200 calories. No. Do not eat 1,200 calories. And if you're out there and you're saying, but the only way for me to lose weight is to eat 1,200 calories. No, that's the way that you lose it as fast as possible and then you can't sustain it. Remember, sustainable fat loss journey. We're doing it differently this time. So here's a general calculation that you can use that can help you. Remember, like I said in the beginning, fitness and nutrition is not black and white, but this is a general thing that you can use. You're going to take your goal body weight in pounds. So if you're 180 pounds right now and you want to be 150 pounds, you're going to do 150 pounds times 12. So you might be thinking, well, why do we use goal body weight? Because it's usually a good estimate of your lean body mass, which is how much muscle mass you have on you. Now, most people have no idea how to track their lean body mass, or they're not going to do it because it's very confusing. So it's just easier to use goal body weight. So again, we're going to go off that example. The 180 pound person who wants to be 150. If you take 150 and multiply it by 12, you get 1,800. All right, so 1,800 calories would be a good estimate or a good place to start. Now, like I said, there is no best macro breakdown or best calorie number. It's going to be a lot of trial and error. So if you start here at 1,800 calories and you're absolutely starving, then go to 2,000 or change up the types of foods that you're eating to eat foods that are more satiating or fill you up more, like protein and fiber and whole natural foods. If you feel like 1,800 is too much, I can't eat 1,800 calories. That's so much. I only lose weight on 1,200. No, it's not. It's not too much food. I promise you that if you're in a position where you want to lose body fat and where you want to lose weight, you're eating more than 1,800 calories right now. And that's just the reality. So you can eat 1,800 calories. Again, 1,800 calories is an example. So if you're not the example, understand what I'm saying. Remember, most people starve themselves and they go too deep into a calorie deficit. Then they can't sustain it. They lose weight really, really fast, but then they can't sustain it. So they ultimately fail. We're not about that here. All right, so now you know how to calculate a general number for your calorie deficit. Now, the second thing we're going to talk about is protein. Now, for protein, the reason why protein is so important, it's going to help to increase your metabolic rate. Remember, it's going to increase the amount of calories that you burn at rest because it's going to help to increase your muscle. Protein also has a higher thermic effect, so it burns more calories just breaking it down and digesting it. It's the most satiating macro, so it's going to keep you more full and satisfied, which is really helpful when you're in a calorie deficit. And in order to calculate your protein, you're going to take that same goal body weight and you're going to multiply it by 0.8 to 1. I like to go on that higher end to 1 gram because it's just easier math-wise, but that's a good range, right? So that 150-pound person, if you're multiplying it by 1, remember, we're doing this in pounds, not kilograms. So if you're in a kilogram place, convert it to pounds. That 150-pound person is going to aim for, the person who has the goal to be 150 pounds is going to eat 150 grams of protein. So calorie deficit, protein. And the final thing is one that so many people overlook, and it's fiber. Fiber is important for weight loss, but also health. It keeps you full, keeps your digestion regular, and it dramatically improves your health. And health really is wealth. People who don't eat enough fiber are most likely really suffering from a health and a longevity perspective. So don't be that person. And in order to calculate your fiber number, usually I have women go for about 25 grams and men around 38. However, go over that. No, don't do it excessive to the point where you are so bloated. However, if you're a woman and you're eating 35 grams, fucking great. If you're a man and you're eating 45 grams, fucking great. So here are those 3 things that we're going to focus on. All right? Calorie deficit, protein, and fiber. So I'm just going to break them down real quickly again. Calorie deficit, remember, take your goal body weight in pounds, multiply it by 12. That's going to give you a good general place to start. You can do this in a range too, especially if you're really new to this. So create a calorie range where you're doing that 1,800 calories for this example, and you're going 10% above or below. So for that 1,800 calorie example, the range would be 1,700 to 2,000 calories. Because remember, there's no perfect number, so a range is really helpful for a lot of people because you're not beating yourself up if you're just a little bit off. So remember, calorie goal, and you can hit 10% above or below. For that protein number, you're taking your goal body weight and you're multiplying it by 1, and that's the amount of grams of protein that you're going to eat a day. Now, grams of protein doesn't mean grams, like I weigh out that many grams. 4 ounces of chicken, for example, has about 28 grams of protein. So that's why that macro tracking app is really helpful, because all you have to do when you use the First Form app is you type in chicken breast and you enter in how much you weighed out, and it tells you exactly how many grams of protein is in that meal, and then you just continue to track it throughout the day. And then with fiber, for my ladies, you're going to aim for 25 grams or above, and men, you're going to aim for about 38 or 35 grams and above. So those are the 3 things we're focusing on. And how are we focusing on that? You're going to track your food. You're going to track everything. Weigh it. We want to get a solid idea of what you've been eating and then understand your habits around food and what gaps you have in your nutrition. And the most important thing with tracking your food here, guys, is being honest with yourself and the data that you enter into the app. If you can't be honest, then this will not work. And what you're probably going to find is that most people will have gaps with protein and fiber. So that's why we're focusing on those things. 70% of the American diet is actually made up of hyperpalatable processed foods, aka things that come in packages and have a huge list of ingredients like Oreos and Doritos and cereals. And those foods are literally manufactured. Those companies spend hundreds of millions of dollars on those foods to be able to make them addictive to you so that they can sell more. And those foods lack protein and fiber. So that's why with tracking your food, you're going to focus on that calorie deficit, the protein, and the fiber. If you hit those 3 things we spoke about, or you aim to hit them, it will take time to build the habits, but effort goes a long way. Remember, calorie deficit, protein number, and fiber goal. Those are the 3 things that we're focusing on, along with tracking everything. But in order for you to hit those 3 numbers, we have to track everything. So kind of goes hand in hand. So this is week 1. Week 1 comes down to really just building foundational habits. Remember, this is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. And if you're really serious about going all in on yourself, continue to listen to this episode that goes out every single Monday. Every single week, it's like a check-in. If you commit to the process each week that we focus on, and you come back the next week and we continue to build onto it, over time, over 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you're going to see phenomenal changes in your life. And if you're really serious about committing to yourself, remember, I'm taking on 5 new clients every single month. I'm capping it at 5. For the first month, for February, you have until January 26th to apply. January 27th to apply, because the 5 people who I pick will receive 1 free month of coaching. All right, remember, all you have to do is email me, tell me your name, tell me your phone number, and tell me why you should be the person or one of the 5 people who I select for the free month of coaching. And as always, guys, if you have any questions, if you need any help, shoot me a message on Instagram, shoot me an email, but commit to this. And go out today and do one thing that's going to take you one step closer to where you want to be.